Before this episode starts, I just want to thank Gloria Masters for being on this podcast, which was actually recorded back in just when COVID had ended. This show definitely isn't for everybody, but it's a show that talks about survivors like Gloria and myself who've been through tremendous abuse as children growing up. Her story is incredible, and she's an incredible woman. I hope you enjoy this episode. Everybody, welcome to Visible Kindness, another episode with Ed Squire and my wonderful dear friend Gloria Masters from New Zealand. I'm really excited to have her on the show today. Gloria was with me last year, or I don't remember if it was before the pandemic, or time has kind of been a blur, but she was with an earlier episode, and I highly recommend you take a look at and listen to that podcast on Visible Kindness or on my YouTube channel, which I'll leave in the links below. But Gloria's a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, so we have connected in a great way since we have connected in this. It's not really a genre, Gloria.
Forum.
In this forum, in this area of advocacy and speaking out about childhood sexual abuse, human sex trafficking, which are topics that are near and dear to my heart because we have done such great, wonderful things with our stories. And I'm glad that you wanted to come back and do another episode and talk about some things that are happening in New Zealand from a legal standpoint. And this, as everything with Me Too, What Now, it could be a triggering conversation. All my conversations usually are, because I'm very upfront about talking about this issue. So I won't be upset if you have to turn it off. Just a upfront warning for you. So go ahead, Gloria.
Okay. Hey, thanks, Ed. Lovely to see you again. And so pleased we're doing this work collectively across the world because it's so important. Look, the reason I wanted to reach out is because I've had personal experience recently, and I just feel for survivors out there, it's such a big deal for us, and I don't think the rest of the population, with all the best will in the world, can potentially or possibly understand what it's like for us to re-find the courage to then try and face into our justice system. So here in New Zealand, I have now tried, this is the second time I've gone before the New Zealand police to try and get my case litigated. And although these detectives are great to work with and you know, individually are doing the absolute best, collectively and as a system, our system is not fit for purpose. It's a 300-year-old patriarchal system, and it tends to be process over people. My story is one of 16 years of child sexual abuse, and we're not talking, sexual abuse just from a family member. We're talking my father, who then trafficked me to extended family, leased me to gangs, had me attend and be a feature of the Freemasons' monthly meetings, and depending on how high up through the Freemasons people are, it depends on their access to children like me. There was satanic ritual abuse. There are over 100 movies I was forced to perform in, pornographic movies. My grandmother performed several abortions on me. I was, I tried to end my own life several times as a child. So it's a pretty unusual case, Ed, here in New Zealand. 32 years ago, I brought this to the police, and they investigated. They had 7 detectives on the case because I wanted to bring my father to justice, and the police agreed there was a case to pursue. What they emerged with was not, the burden of proof was not met. because they couldn't find enough people willing to kind of agree that this had happened. And for survivors, Ed, like you and I and your audience, that's a common theme. No one is going to admit I did this to that child. But the point is, they weren't prepared to pursue, the police were not prepared to pursue the case because we didn't have enough evidence. And one of the reasons was that one of the practitioners I'd initially seen when the memories first emerged was a hypnotherapist who wasn't registered. So because of that, they felt that the defence would just have a field day with it. It would be laughed out of court. So fast track 30 years later, and I've decided I'm strong enough now to bring it forward. My father has passed, but my brother and his friends are still very much alive. So I went back to the police and said, I'd like to take this forward. And so they go back into the file and they try to find what we can do in terms of further evidence, and they unfortunately are not able to. But what's hugely disappointing for me is that our system is so geared to failing survivors, because they tell me that 6% of cases in New Zealand, only 6% of survivors bring a case forward, 6 out of 100 of us, and only 2.8% of those ever result in a conviction. So we've got...
I was going to say, why do you think only 6% come forward? But I know...
now, do you see why?
I mean, I've been through it myself. I've been through it myself.
Yes.
And just in... there was my wild guess in the number of boys that were abused by my teacher, which was one of my abusers. I always guessed somewhere around 100. And out of those 100, 3 of us came forward. I was one, and I was the influence on getting 2 other boys to come forward. So that's, even if my numbers aren't exactly right, that's 3 out of 100. And everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, but many people knew about this because I went public with it. I did interviews. I was in the newspaper, and all of this happened. And it wasn't enough to get survivors to come forward. Yet many of them contacted me offline on their own, without to let me know that they wish they had the strength to do it, or this happened to them and nobody else knows about it. And it didn't even reach the level of why wouldn't they pursue it from a legal perspective if they had the ability to. So that's where I wanted to ask you. It's kind of I feel like it's an obvious question, and if the answer is just because of the shame, right, and the fear, is there, why do you want, this is a good question. I hope I don't offend you with it, but why, I'm doing the same thing. Why go after it?
Why try to bring my abusers to court? For several reasons. One, because criminal activity occurred against me and I never had a voice back then, but I have a voice now.
From a high level, why do you think why do so few people come forward? Why do only 6% come forward?
For everything I think you kind of said earlier, I think we underestimate the power of shame, and shame is only so big for us as survivors because it all begins in secrecy, and threats are made or coercion is conducted, and it's usually conducted in secrecy. And then as we get older and we become more aware of who we are and of our bodies, we then start to feel the dreadful shame. And the reality is, I don't think people really understand how powerful shame is in shutting us down. The other reason at a very high level why people don't respond is because no one wants to hear about this, Ed. This is a silent endemic. No one wants to hear about people who have experienced child sexual abuse because no one wants to believe it happens. It's not they don't believe you or me. It's just they don't want to believe this happens. So therefore, survivors, we potentially then get re-traumatized because no one wants to hear it.
That's the thing. And don't you find when you do talk about it that survivors do come forward that wouldn't have?
Yes.
And they're glad that they heard you, found you.
Yes.
And on top of that, people that weren't abused, that maybe our parents or our teachers or our people in law enforcement, other people are so glad you did as well. And they say, we need you to do this more and more and more.
100%. You would have heard of this acronym NIMBY, not in my backyard, NIMBY, right?
No, but I have heard it now.
Well, you do now. You may use it, Ed. But the point is, it's fine to hear about it, but the closer we get to the source, as in I'm in New Zealand, beautiful New Zealand, the further away people want to be associated with it. And I think that feeds into us then giving the pedophiles a free pass. Because if not, society don't want to hear about it, it then gives them permission to carry it on because no child's going to speak. And as adults, when we do, what's wrong with you? Haven't you been able to move on with your life yet? Why are you still doing this? Gosh, that's a shame you're not really healed, isn't it? And so my response is I will never stop speaking about this because it could be your child or grandchild I save. Then you want to know.
That's right.
So, Ed, it's on people like you and I that want to carry this forward and support other survivors out there. We're carrying the light for those that haven't been able to find theirs yet. But the other thing is this, if only 6% come forward and the police do, the police I've been dealing with do the best they can, don't get me wrong, but they need what they call a golden bullet. They need me to provide almost like a confession or something very concrete because it is, as you say, an older case. But I guess the point is crimes like what happened to me have just gone unpunished. And these 3 men are walking around. I can't tell they're not active pedophiles today. So that's my second reason.
And these men, again, you said your father's passed away.
My brother and 2 of his friends.
How, my dad passed away before I dealt with this on a legal and public level. And my mom and my sister are the only living direct family members that I have. So they were, I was able to tell them about everything. But there's and my grandfather's is dead. The teacher is still alive today, but I really don't care about him. My grandfather was, if he was alive, if anybody in my life was a direct family member was still alive, I don't know if I'd have the strength to do what I did. I had I don't know if you call it a blessing, but the opportunity because I had no fear of anybody in my family saying or thinking anything. I had my mom and my sister on my side. It would have been different with my dad because he was abused by my step-grandfather, his stepdad. It would have been different if I had done it then with him alive and with my step-grandfather alive. But for you, here you are doing it with your brother alive still. And the other gentleman are they both brothers?
2 of his friends, yeah.
2 of his friends. So your brother and 2 of his friends. So how are you, what's your relationship like with your brother
It's
now?
been
Zero.
From the moment I approached him about what had happened when I was 32, nothing. Because in his opinion, I'm lying. In his opinion, I'm deluded. In his opinion, I'm evil, a troublemaker, the black sheep. You can add to the list, I'm sure. As survivors listening, we all get this. But the point is, no, he doesn't want to know me because I've called it out. And so I'm dead to him in a way. So this man is a pastor of a church, and this really worries me, which is why I've
of a church.
Yeah, which is why I've come forward.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, pastor of a college, which means he has access to children, which is even worse.
Yes, yeah. I thought.
So I have to live with myself, Ed, and that's why I went back to the police, and they said no. So me being me said no is a definite maybe, and I said I want to eyeball the decision maker on my case. So this very high detective inspector. And he agreed to see me. So I took a friend with me, an advocate, and I think we both learned a lot through it and look very respectful. But he said to me, you just need to give me the golden bullet. I love to do it, but we don't have what we need. So I guess all I'm saying is, yes, it's upsetting. Yes, it's sad. Yes, justice has not been done. And I just feel that for survivors, Ed, you've tried this, you've gone ahead. There's survivors who think I'm going to go to the police, and I just want to help prepare them, because it's not straightforward.
No, it's not. It's not. I was shocked to find out that the defense was so cutthroat.
Yep.
Just in
yeah.
I was just shocked to just like, have you no heart? I mean,
no.
do you have no compassion? And the reality is they actually do, but they're doing a job.
Yeah.
Their job is to not have to pay and not have to convict. What I found amazing in my case was that when we had mediation, they were very clear in saying, okay, for this one time, we are all on the same playing field. Nothing that is said in this room today can or will be used in court, because we are only here to see if we can not go to court. And so I was shocked to hear the defense. She was so nice and so compassionate. And she said, I'm so sorry for what happened to you. And I was like, you are? You didn't sound that way in discovery. My lawyer kept kicking me under the table because I kept wanting to jump across the table and like, what is wrong with you, lady? Because I thought she was so rude and indifferent. But to hear her, and it's not always like that, because one of my other friends that actually went to court, when he went to mediation before they went to trial, he didn't get that kind of kindness from the defense, but I did. And I was, I learned in that moment that not all people are the same, but I was just grateful that, this was the job she had to do. And she let me know very clearly, I'm going to be nice right now, but after today, I won't be nice. I thought, wow, what amazing that she had the strength and the professionalism to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't hold anything against her for being that way, because that's what she had to do, and it wasn't wrong. I mean,
except that you are a survivor of quite significant trauma, and we know that for us as survivors, it takes a huge leap of courage for us to even speak, let alone try and bring this forward. So, my wish is that one day, and this is off topic, but that one day we have trauma-informed people in our justice system, because we sure as hell don't.
Yeah.
When you look at defence lawyers, I don't care whether they're paid or not.
Yeah. Yes.
There's ways of questioning, and there's ways of doing things.
Yes.
But, I think too, I guess what I wanted to bring to everyone's attention today was you have every right as a survivor to bring your story forward however you like. if you decide and you're in New Zealand to be one of the 6%, just be aware it's paper over people, it's process over justice. It's almost like you have to have video footage of what happened to you. And that's, I'm not being negative about anything, just being honest. They need such a lot of proof because the defence will flip it round. For instance, Ed, in my case, I have repressed memories. A lot of us do. Because of that, the police were telling me yesterday, we can say to you, Gloria, yes, so this happened. So sorry that happened to you. So you know that happened to you. Yes, I know that happened to me. How do you know that happened to you? Because I remembered it. So it's a memory. Yes. Oh, so we believe you believe your memory. Can you see how it would get twisted? And that's what they do.
Oh, yes.
So repressed memory is not considered. Yeah.
For sure. And one of the things that happened to me was, they contact all your doctors and psychiatrists if you went to any, and they'll take a look at all your notes. And one of the things that she said to me was, my description of what happened to me with one of my abusers was very different. And she had it highlighted on my psychiatrist notepad, right? And then that was different compared to what I said in a later therapy session, right? How I explained and how I recalled the detail. And I was so angry because I said, this is one of the times when my lawyer was kicking me under the table. It's like, if there was an expert here, like a therapist here that understood trauma, it's not uncommon for a survivor, when they first talk about their story to their caregiver, the details are going to be different at that point than they are 2 or 3 years down the road.
Of course they are. And that's a known phenomenon, isn't it?
They want to call you a liar.
Yeah, of course.
So did this happen or did this not happen? And that's if they can crack this, whether you're being honest or not, then it's in their favor. But that's not the case. That's not how it works. And so survivors need to be prepared, like you're saying, when we go into these things, is that how, even as horrific as your story is, as my story is, it doesn't carry any weight unless you have the evidence, as much evidence as you can, and a way to have burden of proof.
Yeah. And I think that's the whole thing, you see, because we as survivors we've finally found the courage to find our voice. We're so proud of ourselves. We've reached where we've reached. Then we think, right, I'll take it to the police. Then that happens. Then we get re-traumatized again and go back to ground zero. And I guess I just want to give your audience out there some hope that, if it's meant to happen, it will happen. If for some reason that door gets closed, there's potentially another way through. And it may not be through the justice system. So I guess I want to leave people with a bit of hope here that may not be your path, but equally, our justice system is not serving survivors. It is not fit for purpose. And it's broken. I think it's outdated, it's archaic, and it's still today, even though it shouldn't be the case. What did you do? It almost feels like it's on you to, how were you complicit?
Yeah.
Really?
Like your fault.
Really?
It's like you're the one that is causing problems here. It's horrific. The guilt that they make you feel, or that you feel because of the trauma that you're still going through. There's
an image, I must send it through to you, and it goes, what percentage of rape belongs to these 6 components. One is what the victim was wearing. Was the victim drunk? Was the victim flirting? Was the victim in control of the situation? Was the victim conscious? There's 6. And the answer, 100% the rapist. So in our case, 100% the abuser. It doesn't matter whether we happen to be hanging around after school, or or whether we smiled at someone who then took that as a permission given. So always remember, 100% of the responsibility lies with the abuser. Mm-hmm. And I think what happens now, or what I've come to realise, is as survivors stepping forward to try and get justice, it may be that you don't find it through the court system, because, Ed, what you went through and the way you were treated is just one example, and it's just hard.
Yeah. So what are next steps for you through this process that you're going through right now?
Well, I'm a little bit, I don't know that I can tell you on air because it's potentially not legal.
Okay, let me how are you?
I'm fine. So look, but one thing about me, as you know, Ed, I never give up. So I'm going to find a way, because I don't believe the shame belongs to me. It never did. Yeah. So I'm handing it back, and I'm doing it proudly and vocally. And, if you saw me on LinkedIn, people get a bit annoyed because it's a professional platform. Well, guess what? A professional platform is made up of people. Up to a third of people have experienced some form of child sexual abuse and trauma.
Some pushback on LinkedIn for your...
Well, because
I like your posts, and I share your posts. I think it's a part of what LinkedIn is about, where this is our platform, this is what we do. And, I don't like a lot of other things that other people are doing, but you have the right to do it. So you're getting some negative feedback?
Well, because people do not like child sexual abuse as a topic. No. Which is what circle back to what we've been saying. Shut up about it. No one wants to know about this. Why do you keep bringing it up? Because I'm always going to keep bringing it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the thing is, people would rather it just quietly went away, but it can't, because it exists in so many of us. It's really important that we keep talking. And I'm so grateful to you, Ed, for allowing me to come back on your show. And
I am so grateful that you're here again. I hope we're talking about doing a documentary. I hope we get to do that. I hope that happens. On Angel's Wings.
My flight from trauma to grace.
Will blow your mind, and I highly recommend it. And if you know anybody that has been sexually abused, or if you have been sexually abused, you can reach out to Gloria or to myself directly. Our links and our information that will be in this episode. And that's one of the things that I get most satisfaction out of Me Too What Now, is when people feel comfortable enough to actually directly reach out and contact me, because I'm never too busy, and there's never an overflow of people that I can't get back to, because this isn't a popular topic. Everybody wants to get a hold of people that are on different topics that typically are geared towards business and making money, but changing people's lives on this level is the lineup is small and short.
Well, let's just end with this. The most significant money earner globally is human trafficking, specifically child sex trafficking. So,
and if you don't like to hear money, if you don't like to hear that, it's too late. You just listened to the whole episode. Now you did.
Yep. Anyway, the point is this. We have to normalize these conversations, Ed. We have to have more conversations. We have to have people feeling comfortable talking about it, because we're never going to stop it. And otherwise, we got to stop giving a hall pass to the pedophiles, because they're used to silence, secrecy and shame. And we're here taking the lid off it. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you, my friend.
I thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time and reaching out again.
Thank you.